All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is going on, YouTube? We're back with the Saturday, November 4th edition of the NHL Quick Hit, bringing you this video right here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps us out a ton here, and down in the comment section, drop your favorite stacks, your favorite goalies, your favorite plays of tonight's NHL slate. I'm going to go through it, break it all down for you here. Operating about 1:20 in the morning here, giving you this this video here ahead of time. Obviously, things can change from now until lock, but wanted to get on here, record this, get this out here for you guys nice and early, as I got a pretty busy day today. Got a lot of things going on, but still wanted to bring you guys the content here. We're going to talk stacks. We're going to talk some value plays, and then some of my favorite goalies off the top. Again, as always, my final content will be published on the SHIPIT Nation website, for premium subscribers. Slate plan, matchup sheet, and core plays all will be available for SHIPIT Nation subscribers with plenty of time before lock to build your lineups overall. But we got a massive 13-game slate here. You can't play everyone. There's 26 teams to choose from on the slate. I'm going to break down my couple favorite spots to attack on this slate. Yours could be different than mine, but that's the nature of the beast. You can go many different routes on this slate. I'm going to tell you where I'm looking to go on this slate, and the first team I'm looking at targeting on this slate here tonight is the New York Rangers here. Love going back to the well on these Rangers. Rangers have treated me pretty well here. Rangers on the road here this evening in Minnesota here. Minnesota has not been good defensively to start the year. The second worst team on home ice in the league, giving up over 4 goals per game, giving up the 4th most high danger chances. Their expected goals is very bad here as well. And the Rangers on the road has been the 7th best offense in the league and the 4th best power play on the road so far this season, where Minnesota has the 27th ranked penalty kill. So love the New York Rangers here. My preferred is that top power play. Love that top power play here. And then my favorite full line stack is actually going to be that second line: Vincent Trocheck, Artemi Panarin, and Alexis Lafreniere. Really like that second line there as a full strength option, but top power play is where I'd be looking first. Artemi Panarin, love his price point there at $6,800. Chris Kreider, I mean, this guy continues to produce. He's $5,700, back-to-back good games against Winnipeg and Carolina. Mika Zibanejad continues to be criminally underpriced for his talent and upside at just $6,300. I mean, we were paying over $8K for this guy multiple times last season, so $6,300 for him on that top power play as well. Jacob Trouba is probably going to slide up to the top power play now with Adam Fox getting injured last game, which was pretty hurtful for my DFS lineups. But Jacob Trouba likely going to slot into that top power play for Adam Fox. He's just $5,200. So really like this top power play for the Rangers here. Second line is a full stack option as well. And you can definitely play this top line stack with Mika Zibanejad, Kaapo Kakko, and Chris Kreider. So love the top six skaters here personally for New York Rangers. Probably my favorite stack of the night overall. Really like the spot for them. Another spot I'm looking at here is the Ottawa Senators here at home against Tampa. I think this is a good spot here for the Senators. Senators have been pretty solid. They can definitely score, and they're 4-5. Tampa's 4-6 to start the year. It's a 6.5 total here. I like the Senators on home ice here. Tampa on the road this year has been the second worst team in all of the NHL, allowing over 4.4 goals per game. Ottawa, 4th best home offense on the league. Take a ton of shots, 8th best in the league, 5th best home power play. The only interesting note is Tampa has killed off 100% of penalties on the road this season. Don't give up a lot of penalties as well. Those kind of go hand in hand there. But if Ottawa does find a way to get some penalties, they probably could cash in because they do have a very good home power play unit here. But for me, it's full line stacks for me is where I'm looking for Ottawa in this game. Brady Tkachuk, really like him. Timmy Stu on that top line, and then Claude Giroux is that top line stack. Really like going to this top line. I don't think ownership's going to follow here. These price points are pretty expensive overall. Personally, Brady Tkachuk, Timmy Stu, both over 7K there, 7K and 7,800 for those two. But Claude Giroux makes that stack a little bit more reasonably priced, 5,700. Really like him. Wish they correlated more on the power play, but you're mainly going to Ottawa for the full line strength. And I would just stick to that top line personally is where I would be looking on the slate. Really like that line. You can definitely jump down to that second line as a little value option. Still got a great matchup here. Probably going to draw even a better matchup. They'll probably be off the Braden Point line personally, I think. So Vladimir Tarasenko there, the ex-Blue, Drake Batherson, and Josh Norris. So second line, definitely more reasonably priced. Still shooting the puck a ton. Josh Norris, I mean, has averaged over 3 shots per goal per game. 3 shots on goal, per game over the last 5. So top 2 lines for me in play for Ottawa. Really like the prices on that second line, and it is a pretty good matchup here against Tampa despite the name recognition for the Tampa Bay Lightning. One thing they do, though, is limit high danger chances, which can limit some goals overall, but haven't seen that to be the case yet this season. Their expected goals is pretty bad overall, and their actual goals is second worst in the league on the road this season so far through 4 games. So really like Ottawa as well. Got to talk about it. Got to talk about probably the chalk of the slate here. Haven't looked at ownership yet as it's way too early in the morning here to check ownership. But first spot, I mean, the Pittsburgh Penguins here against the worst team in all of the NHL. I mean, they just played last game. Vancouver just dropped what Vancouver just dropped last game? I think it was 11 goals or something like that, right? Yeah, 10 goals. Vancouver scored a touchdown and a field goal last game against the Sharks. Sharks have not won a game all year long. Absolutely atrocious here. And now they play the Penguins here. Penguins on the road. Again, the Sharks averaging over 4.7 goals against per game. Expected goals is right around 4. They give up over 17.5 high danger chances per game. Absolute smash spot for Pittsburgh. No surprise there by any means. Pretty much everyone's in play for Pittsburgh. I don't even mind going down to that third line, but that second line is probably my preferred. Personally, the Malkin, Riley Smith, Raquel line, really like that second line here on the road. Can obviously play that top line there with Sid the Kid, Jake Guentzel, and Brian Rust. Very good line as well. And even that third line with Lars Eller, O'Connor, and Zahorna, I think can be played here. It's just a matchup. I mean, everybody can score. I can't even skate, and I could score against these Sharks right now. So Pittsburgh, likely the chocolate slate, hard to ignore the spot that they're in. I mean, it's just a bet on the Sharks. You can finally play anyone against the Sharks all season long, at least is how it seems to start. You'd probably be printing money. I mean, they're 0-10 to start the year. I don't expect them to get a win here as well, even at home. And it is a late night hammer game as well. So really like Pittsburgh in this spot. No surprise. It's not that's not a crazy take by any means. They're going to get ownership, but so many spots on the slate. There's still 26 teams to choose from. Ownership's likely going to spread a little bit. So really love Pittsburgh here. Jumping in another one of my favorite stacks as well that I think goes a little bit overlooked here is the Kraken at home against the Flames. The Flames have been right around 4 goals against per game on the road this season through their 6-game sample size. So really think these price points personally is what's doing it for me on these Kraken. Only thing I hate about the Kraken is the correlation gets tricky. Their lines scoring is definitely spread out. But that third line with Yanni Gourde, Ely Tolavainen, and Jared McCann is going to be super low owned. Jared McCann has sneakily been very, very good. Top power play, 15 3, 15, 28, and 18 in his last 5 games. He's 5,600. Probably my favorite Kraken piece by far, averaging over 3.5 shots per game as well. Jared McCann, really like him. And that whole third line is going to be super low owned in general. At home, I like third liners a little bit more. So think he's a great play. Eli Tolvanen has been great the last 3 games, 15, 12, and 7. He's sub 4K there at the wing position, averaging over 2.5 shots per game as well. So really overall, like these Kraken and like their price points, like the matchup, everything checks out pretty good for me, for them. Yanni Gourde is well at 3,100. Nice value play. So third line is actually my favorite line for Seattle here tonight at their prices and their recent production. But you can't go wrong with any of these guys. Matty Beniers hasn't been the greatest at 4,500, but it is a pretty solid matchup here against Calgary. My favorite top liner is actually Oliver Bjorkstrand. 4K flat for him, 8, 15, 2, 10, and 13 in his last 5 games, averaging right around 2 shots on goal per game, playing over 16 minutes, 16 to 18 minutes likely he's going to get here. So overall, like these Kraken, that third line is my preference as a secondary stack. Nice price points on them to fit around some of these other teams on this slate. I have interest. These other 2 teams I'm going to mention are both from the same game. It's the Toronto and Buffalo game. I expect there to be a lot of goals in this game personally. Buffalo here on a back-to-back after getting absolutely shit stomped last night by Philly here. I think Buffalo does come out with a vengeance here in this one, but Toronto's been very, very good. Not very, very good. They lost the last 3, but they've been scoring from a DFS perspective, and that's what we care about. William Nylander has been on fire. He's averaging over 5 shots on goal per game. He's one of the best spend-up wings on the entire slate, even as a one-off. Taking over 5 shots per game, playing 18 to 20 minutes. I mean, this guy is just consistent. 27, 16, 11, 22, 16, and 19 in his last 6 games here. Now it draws a very, very good matchup here. Wings have done very well against Buffalo here. A lot, averaging over 77 points per game to the position from the wings. That's obviously all lines included, but William Nylander, one of the best wings on the slate personally for me. His line mate there, John Tavares at the center position, not the greatest matchup. Centers have been held in check by Buffalo here, but if you're looking for a stack, Bertuzzi, Nylander, John Tavares is a great stack option there. Second line. Looking at the matchup sheet that I got over here on SHIPITNation.com. It's pretty solid matchup on both sides here. Buffalo obviously on the back-to-back with travel. Have to be a little worrisome about that, but Buffalo on the road this year, 3.5 goals against per game. Expected goals is up there. They allow the 4th most shots on goal per game as well on the road this season, and about middle of the pack at 12.5 high danger chances per game. So Toronto here is definitely in a good spot on home ice. That top line, Austin Matthews had a bunch of bad games in a row, and then last game exploded against Boston, obviously with the goal there. 5 blocks he picked up, so a little bit of an outlier there, picking up 5 blocks for that scoring when he dropped 34. He's all the way up to almost 10K. Don't love that price point, I'm going to be honest with you, but his line mates are definitely cheap with Yarncrow there and Mitchell Marner. So preferred line is the second line for Toronto for me. Top line, obviously, you can play Austin Matthews. Probably going to be a very, very big talking point on the slate in cash games. I'm going to project very well, everything like that with the matchup, the total, and Buffalo on a back-to-back here and haven't been very good on the road in terms of defense. But what they have been is they have been good scoring the puck. I love this second line here tonight for Buffalo. Skinner, Middlestat, and Peterka. Played these guys a lot. They just did well last night. The same line, JJ Peterka, one of the best value plays, in my opinion, on the entire slate. 10, 19, 9, 15 DraftKings points at 3,400 in his last 4 games. Really love this second line in Skinner, Middlestat, and Peterka. Probably one of my favorite stacks of the night because looking at Buffalo, second best road offense in the league, averaging over 4 goals against per game. Toronto, second worst home defense in the entire league, allowing over 4 goals per game. Really think Buffalo can score some goals here. And the second line is super cheap. Another guy I want to bring up is a D-man here, Henry Yorakura. I think is how you pronounce it. Butchering his name, but he's a D-man at just 2,700. I mean, this guy has been super, super consistent. 9, 12, 8, 14, and 18 DraftKings points in his last 5 games. He's $200 over min price. So love that punt D-man and love the second line for Buffalo here. I think it's an excellent spot. You can play this top line. Obviously, you can play Tage Thompson every single slate that he's on. He's 8,100 here. He's got 2 cheap line mates in Greenway and Bureau there on the slate. But my preferred line is definitely that second line, personally, is where I'm looking on this slate for Buffalo. Ran through those stacks pretty quickly here. Again, obviously, there's 26 teams to choose from. You probably like some teams that I didn't even mention on this slate. That's just the nature of the beast. That's where I'm looking to go. My content's going to reflect that. Obviously, you can't play everyone on this slate, so you have to make some cuts somewhere. Let's jump into the value section. Before we do, if you haven't hit that like button or hit that subscribe button already, please do so, and drop a comment down below in the chat. And if you aren't a SHIPIT Nation member, head over to SHIPITNation.com, sign up for one of our packages, whether it's the yearly, 6-month, or monthly package. Best all-in price in the industry for all sports. I mean, we're continuing to win. If you haven't saw on Twitter, continuing to publish screenshots of members posting under $50 in play, right around $50 in play, cashing for 80,000, 5 figures here and there, left and right, 60,000, 100,000. It's been absolutely crazy 2 weeks here in the SHIPIT Nation community. So would love to have you join us. Again, SHIPITNation.com. Head over there. Check us out. Get access to all the premium content, including the premium NHL content behind the scenes here, which myself does all that. Let's jump into the value section here real quick. Talking a couple of values on this slate. Center position first. First value I'm going to bring up, Lars Eller. I already talked about him. I already talked about the Pirates' best spot on the slate against the worst team in the league, team in the Sharks, who have not won a game and have given up a ton of goals. Lars Eller has been very good. 3,400 for him. My top value center on the entire slate. Really like him. Ross Colton's another guy I want to bring up. 2,900 for him. Not going to play a ton of minutes, but when he's out there, in his 12 to 14 minutes, he is firing the puck here. Gets a matchup against Vegas, which isn't the greatest matchup by any means on paper. Vegas has been very good at home, but Ross Colton's just 2,900, averaging over 3 shots per game over the last 5. So doesn't need to do much at $400 over min price if you need a stone min putt almost. Really like him. Talked about loving this third line here for Seattle. That has to give me interest in my guy, Yanni Gourde, here at home against Calgary. 3,100 for him, averaging over 2.5 shots per game, playing right around 18 to 20 minutes as a third liner at 3,100. Really, really love Yanni Gourde and that third line for Seattle. So I think he's an excellent play. Looking at a couple other guys here, personally, not too much interest overall in any of these other guys. I mean, value gets pretty weak, and I think you can just take a look at Yanni Gourde and Lars Eller as your 2 value guys if you need a value guy. Marco Rossi's been pretty good this year for the Minnesota Wild. Doesn't got the greatest matchup here against the Rangers, but he's just 3,300. So if you need a value guy and you're not going to Eller or Yanni Gourde, you could look to a guy like Marco Rossi. And then the last guy I'm going to bring up is Anton Lundell for Florida. Second liner here against the Chicago matchup. It's the best matchup on the slate against centers, and he's 3,400, averaging over 2 shots per game as well. 7, 12, 19 DraftKings points in his last 3 games. So Anton Lundell is going to round out the value centers for me. The Florida guy there at 3,400 at the center position. Jumping to the wingers. Talked about liking the Rangers quite a bit. Rangers got a great matchup here tonight on this slate against Minnesota. Minnesota's been very, very leaky, especially on home ice here. First guy I'm going to bring up, Alexis Lafreniere. Best matchup on the entire slate for wings, and this guy's 3,600, skating on that second line with Panarin and Trocheck, who I like quite a bit, averaging right around 2 shots per game over the last 5. So Alexis Lafreniere at 3,600, definitely have a lot of interest in him. Overall, I think that's a great play there. Jumping into these Pittsburgh guys again, you can look at a guy like Drew O'Connor at stone minimum 8, 4, 3, 6, and 7 DraftKings points in his last 5, averaging over 2 shots per game, and he's stone minimum in the best matchup of the night against San Jose here. So Drew O'Connor at stone minimum, definitely have to have interest in him. Has one of the best matchups on the entire slate, is Wings against these San Jose Sharks. Jumping in back into that Buffalo and Toronto game, definitely have interest in both sides of that game. So have to have interest in some of these value wings for Toronto here. My favorite is probably going to be let me see who my favorite is here. Probably going to be Cal Yarncrow. The reason being is he's skating next to Austin Matthews and Mitchell Marner, that top liner here at home. One of the third best matchup on the slate is Wings against this Buffalo Sabres team here. And 3,600 for him, averaging right around 2 shots on goal per game over the last 5. So really think this is a pretty solid spot overall for Toronto here. So Cale Yarncrow is going to make the cut for a value winger here. Looking at some of these other guys on the slate that I want to mention here. Connor Zary for Calgary, I think, is going to be a talking point. He came back. He played his first game last game against Dallas. Had 6 shots on net with a goal. Don't love chasing it, but he's getting top power play time for the Flames. Second line guy. He played 16 minutes last game here. Not the greatest matchup, but he's $300 over min price. So Connor Zary for Calgary. I guess you could give a look at him overall. And then one other guy I want to mention here, Philly on a back-to-back here against the Kings. Kings are a very good hockey team. Arthur Kaliev's been actually pretty solid this season, averaging over almost right around 3 shots per game over the last 5. So Arthur Kaliev for the LA Kings would be another value winger that I'm looking at. Jumping in the defensive position here before we talk on some goalies. First D-man I'm going to bring up is Henry. Hold on, let me bring this guy up for Buffalo here. Hold on. I mispronounced his name terribly, but Henry Jokaharu, I think is how you pronounce it. $2,700 for this guy. I told you. $200 over min price. Hasn't scored under 8 DraftKings points in his last 5 games here. And I really like that game environment with Buffalo and Toronto. So he's my favorite value play at $200 over min price. Looking at some other value plays here. Nico Mikola, bring this guy up every time for Florida. $3,900. He's very good. Blocking shots, shooting the puck a ton, playing right around 20 minutes at $3,900. So Nico Mikola for Florida Panthers. Think he makes some sense. Ryan Pulock here. Has been pretty consistent this season, 3,600. Going to block some shots, take some shots as well. Averages right around 2.5 shots on goal per game. Averages over 2.5 shots blocked per game as well. So Ryan Pulock, definitely have some interest in him. Kyle Burrows is going to continue to be a talking point as a value guy. On the worst team in the league, but he's thrusted into a top power play. Obviously, after they traded EK away, traded all those guys away there in San Jose, he's 3,300, hasn't scored under 7 DraftKings points in his last 3 games with a ceiling of 13. So 3,300 for Kyle Burrows, think makes some sense here. Looking at a couple other guys on this slate, going back to that Rangers team, Eric Gustav on that top power play there is actually going to slot in, it looks like, for Adam Fox. So it's not going to be Trouba there. It's going to be Eric Gustav. So I really like Eric Gustav on that top power play. I think it's an excellent power play matchup for these guys, and he's 3,700. So really like the spot for Eric Gustafsson for the New York Rangers. And then you can look to any of these value Pittsburgh guys that you land on here, as it's a very good matchup here, San Jose. Pretty much every position is a great matchup against San Jose, the way it seems. But Ryan Graves would be my favorite guy at 3,800 if you need a punt there. That's going to do it for all the value positions. Let's talk some of the goalies on this slate. Obviously, I'm going to have interest in the goalies that I have interest in the offenses for the most part here. Let me just see here. So let me look at the price points personally on this slate. First one, from a value standpoint, it's hard to ignore what Thatcher Demko has been doing. He's just 7,400 here, draws a matchup against Dallas at home. Not the greatest matchup, but 7,400 for him. Thatcher Demko, definitely have to give a look at him because he's going to see volume. He can get there in a loss. And if for whatever reason he picks up a win, definitely something I look at. I want to play goalie that's going to see shot volume, and I definitely think Thatcher Demko is going to see some shot volume. So 7,400 for him. Definitely think he makes some sense. I think you can play both goalies in that Colorado Vegas game. I expect to be low scoring. It's the last game of the night. I prefer the Vegas side personally in that game, but you can play Georgiev at 7,500 because Vegas, again, it's one of the lowest totals on the slate there. Late night hammer. Georgiev has a nice price point at 7,500, so can definitely go to him. And then you can go to the other side there, the Adin Hill side at 7,900. I like the Adin Hill side because Colorado, what they do is fire the puck. They are third in the league in shots against. So Adin Hill is going to get the volume and is at home. So 7,900 for him. Adin Hill definitely makes some sense for me personally. I like the New York offense, so I like going to Igor Shesterkin there. He is game time decision, so definitely watch him if he doesn't start. But he's 8K if he starts. I think he's an excellent play. Has been very, very consistent as well. So Igor Shesterkin, definitely have interest in him. And then let me take a look at a couple more here. Tristan Jarry, I think, is de facto cash guy all the way up at the top. I just don't love it. Typically, I don't love spending up at goalie, but he is the heaviest favorite on the slate here against the worst team in the league, 8,400. The only thing is these Sharks just don't fire the puck a ton either. They're last in the league at averaging right around 23 shots per game, and Pittsburgh's the best team in the league in limited shots against on the road. So if he does let up a goal or two, it's going to be very hard for him to pay off that price point. Obviously, you can pretty much factor in the win right now for DraftKings scoring. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking on this slate in terms of the goalies, the value, and the favorite stacks. Again, flew through it. All my final content will be up on SHIPITNation.com. Core plays, slate plan, and the matchup sheet will be updated for subscribers. I'll be in the Discord answering questions, but that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the NHL Quick Hit. Good luck today in your contest. Good luck tonight. If you have questions, hit me up in the Discord. But for myself, Nadesify, I'm going to get on out of here. Let's ship it.